Welcome home, family and fellow citizens of the African Order. I'm here with another video, and the topic of this discussion is this is the greatest country on earth. I could hardly think that, let alone speak it with a straight face. But this is one thing the left and the right both can agree on, and it just so happened to be a lie, which is not surprising at all coming out of this corrupt system. And I wonder what would it take for whites to admit that this is not the greatest country on earth. Probably the same as it'll take for a mother to admit that her son is not the best player in Little League. It's the greatest country on earth. Here you got politicians politicking in doublespeak, talking out of both sides of their mouth. Kamala Harris talking about this isn't a racist system, even though it's rooted in racism. I don't know how it cannot be a racist country. you know, then Joe Biden, one of his first things he do when he get in office, sign executive orders protecting Asians against racist attacks. You know, always talking about pull yourself up by your own bootstraps. Well, when black people did do that and created a whole community for it, what they do, they tear it down. We need to continue whatever effort they took to initiate that movement of Black Wall Street, and we need to duplicate it, modernize it, and reapply it over and over again until it stick. We cannot let these people talk out both sides of their mouth, tell us to pull ourselves up by our own bootstrap. Then when we do, allow them to come back into our community and tear it down. We got to stop this. You know, um, Here you have politicians swearing to protect this country from foreign and domestic enemies, but don't want to investigate the insurrection that happened on January 6th against their own government. Don't want to investigate it. They have no laws to protect against domestic terrorism. They can investigate it, but they can't arrest nobody. What's the purpose? Like I say, when you talk out of both sides of your mouth, you destroy what's in the middle. The greatest country on earth. I don't like to use profane language, but and here you got Mitch McConnell sitting up here on national TV, going through his deja vu politics, talking about his first priority is to stop Biden from turning this into a communist or socialist country. Same thing he was saying when Obama was in office. Mitch McConnell, let me tell you something. Your number one objective is to secure the best economic and industrial opportunities for those who voted you in office, regardless who the president is. Just because there's a Democratic president, that don't mean you take 4 years off from your obligation to the people who put you in the position that you're in right now. All this, you're going to set aside passing up opportunities that you can gain by um, working with whoever the president is. But you don't do that because they're not of your own party. Where does it say that in your job description? That's like somebody voting in the office and you only want to work in the summertime when it's nice and convenient, but when it get cold or rainy or whatever, you want to stay indoors. And no, bro, you can't do that. Regardless of the political affiliation of the president, regardless of the weather, your obligation is to the people who sent you there, not just for you. You don't like them because you Republican, but your people that sent you there have needs that need to be served throughout the year, throughout whatever presidency occupy the White House. This is, I don't know how on earth you could say this is the greatest country on earth. This is crazy. You know, I'm watching TV the other night, and this guy Robert Greene was killed in Louisiana, and they finally, after 2 years, released some of the police video, and I'm watching them tase this guy repeatedly in the car. Police lying on the report saying that he crashed his car, got into a little altercation with the police and died and going to the hospital. All of it not true. I'm sitting here watching them shackle this guy, arms and legs, dragging him while his face rubbing up against the ground. Just the hatred, the viciousness that these officers used in just beating this guy to a pulp. I feel sorry for this guy, but also was angry at him. He's sitting up here begging for Jesus, talking about we brothers. Please, we brothers. And I'm sitting up here like, bro, at what point do you realize that these guys here to kill you? I understand you trying to, but at what point do you realize these guys are here to kill you? And you got to forget all that stuff. You got to start fighting for your life. Dragging this guy, face down, arms chained behind his back, legs chained together, and they're dragging him, face scraping against the ground. One of the officers is heard saying, I hope this MF ain't got AIDS, because he looked up and seen how covered in his blood he was after grinding this guy on the ground. And I'm sitting up here thinking, if you're so concerned about catching AIDS from this guy, why are you all on him like that? Your mindset is so bent on torturing, hurting this man. You didn't even think about the HIV risk until after you stopped. Talking about something, you don't need police reform. You need and this is when I seen that video, I'm sitting here watching it and just looking at the demonic look upon these officers' face as they beating this man to death. Like I said earlier, they talking about don't defund the police, defend the police. How do you defend this? Over and over again, we see this all the time. Here you have these killer cops sworn to protect and serve. Not only participating in just cold-blooded murder, then you take official police reports and you lie over and over again, leaving out all what you've done to put this man in his state. When they took the man to the coroner's office, the coroner said that he noticed police prongs with a taser gun still stuck in this man's back. But the police never mentioned anything about that. I don't say defund the police to the point where there is no police, but we can't have police that sit up here and say they don't want to be defunded, but can't tell the difference between a gun and a taser. You don't want to be retrained, but we want to put militarized weapons in these people's hands. You can't even tell the difference between a gun and a taser. What are you going to do with an AK-47? And then here I am. I'm a truck driver. If I do anything wrong behind the wheel, regardless of how long I've been right, I can be suspended from work and it'll carry me for 3 years before I can even apply for another position. Even if I get a warning, I could be disqualified from driving. Here these guys are committing cold-blooded murder, and they're able to quit and go to another police department and pick up right where they left off at. No, nobody goes over their record. But I can't go from one job to another without somebody finding out exactly why I left. How many times have you been stopped by the police? And for what? And like I say, I don't even have to have an actual ticket where I'm charged. I can just have a warning put on there. I don't know, I'm not gonna give you a ticket for speeding, but I'm just gonna give you a little warning, I want you to keep in mind to slow it down a little bit. Oh, okay, officer. Thank you so much. Then when you go to try to apply for another position, or they do a security check on your record and see that you got pulled over and was given a warning, you out of a job. Simple as that. And then you got to spend thousands of dollars to hopefully get it off. And then you got police officers doing this. And I'm looking at how the viciousness and no de-escalation of their tactics, even in this hostile environment, where everybody's eyes on them. They still doing it. Then they had this other guy in North Carolina, Andrew Brown, moralized by the police. They come there to serve a search warrant. And that's, they get into altercation, and this guy ended up getting shot in the back of the head. Had some guy representing the police talking about the police was completely justified. But you only want to show 44 seconds of the video. If they were so justified, why not show the whole video? And as he's describing the small portion that he's showing to the press, even white people are sitting up here saying it's hard for us to see exactly what you're describing. But then I turn around and say that the family who saw the video earlier deliberately lied when they said that the police murdered him. And then the lawyer was like, as a sworn lawyer, he hoped that everybody takes the oath and commitment to the law. And I'm sitting here like, bro, I'm questioning your commitment. I'm questioning your loyalty. Because what you're saying and what I'm seeing is two totally different things. Talking about, I'm sitting there watching the guy turning his vehicle away from the police. And he's like, did you see the police officer's hand on the car? And the guy said, yeah. And he was turning away from the police officer. Did you see the tire marks in the mud? If that car had been on concrete, that officer would have been killed. But the car wasn't on concrete. It was on grass. And even though his hand was on the car, he's looking right down at the wheel. You can see the angle that the wheel is arched towards. It's turning away from you. And as he pulls off, you start shooting while the guy is going away from you. There's no police officers in front. But according to the law, the man did use the car as a weapon. How? By the act of just starting the car. They got laws that support their hatred, that support their racist tactics. If you sitting in the car and the police officer tell you to take the keys out the ignition, and let's say you then start the car, the officer can now say that you're using this vehicle as a weapon and respond accordingly. That's in their law. Once one officer finds a reason to justify him shooting, now that exonerates every other officer there to shoot. They can just work off of his interpretation. Whatever direction he's shooting in, whoever he's shooting at, we're not going to have to think or anything. We're just going to shoot in the same direction, shoot at the same person. That's sad. And then one of the reporters was talking about at the time of day that this incident happened, it was during school hours. And was any concern about the children that's coming out of school or the parents coming to pick them up? The lawyer said that the police didn't say anything about it. Now, during any military campaign, you want to look at all possibilities: location, what's in the area, school, what time of day it is, are they in school, getting out of school, what time do the bus? You got to take all this in consideration if you're going to come there with this many police officers shooting this many weapons. And like I say, all it takes is for one police officer to start shooting. And then that justifies everybody else from shooting until they feel that the threat has been stopped. That put me in the mindset of Arnold Schwarzenegger movie The Predator, where one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's men were killed. And dude saw his man fall, so he runs over there and sees the predator standing in front of him. And he's shocked that this guy's looking just like perfectly camouflaged. So the aliens start running away from him. So dude starts shooting. Once he starts shooting, Arnold Schwarzenegger and the rest of his crew start coming over there. Then they all start shooting. Then my man, the first black guy, dropped his weapon, picked up my man Gatling gun, and started spraying all through the woods. Then my man come up from behind. He got a grenade launcher, shooting grenades just at anything in the woods, trees, bushes, anything, anywhere. See, according to white people law, all they shooting, no matter who got hurt, was justified because that one guy found a reason to shoot. And that exonerates everybody. Do you see the danger that this could happen when you put this type of authority into these type of people? Everything that they do has to be done and within their understanding. When you say Black Lives Matter, what they say, all lives matter. When you say defund the police, they say defend the police. They want to control everything. Like I said, you just start the car, and they can say that the car is now a weapon, regardless to what direction the guy was driving the car in. The thing is this: the law should be the law, regardless to who read it. The law should not be what whites interpret it to be. I'm gonna end this video here, but before I do that, let me say this. Everything that we see today, everything that we experience that we don't like, we can create an alternative that we will like. And that means blacks coming together and building their own governing bodies, building their own businesses and institutions, building our own way of life. And I know that you're going to hear a lot of people say, no, we can't do this, no, we can't do it. But all I'm telling you this: all we need out of all the no's, all we need is one yes. One yes from each person of color that's sick and tired of watching their kids or the risk of their children being killed. One yes from every parent that give their children the speech on how to safeguard themselves when the police that you pay pull you over, when they question you, when they come in your vicinity. All we need is one yes from each parent who is afraid that when they see their child walk out the door, they're concerned if he's even going to come back. If we get one yes from each parent that do that, that feel that fear that, then we can build our own system. We ain't got to go nowhere else to do it. We can do it right here. This country had a way of life before these white bastards showed up, and they displaced it and put their own. They didn't have to go back to the mountains and build anything. So why should we? We can build our country right here and put our children in the community where they'll be safe and loved and protected. And they'll watch us build it. And then we'll hand it down to them. And then they can strengthen and develop it to encompass more of our people. So no matter where we are on this earth, we'll have a way to safeguard and protect our way of life. I'm going to end this video here. And if you like this message, please share it. And if you like the content, consider subscribing to the channel. With this video, as with all my videos, it is for the complete liberation of my people, and I'll see you in my next message. Ashe.